Alright everyone, so in the previous video we have created our first action, but as I already told you that will not work because we haven't connected our React with Redux, and you can see that we are getting this error that could not find the React Redux context. Please ensure the component is wrapped in that provider. So that we already discussed that we have to wrap that app component inside this provider with the store value. But before that, let's understand another very important point, that how we can basically create reducer. And you can see that here it is clearly mentioned that a Redux step really only has one reducer function, and that is the root reducer function. So you have to create a root reducer. But how you can create a reducer? Now reducer is also another simple pure JavaScript function which will take two properties, or basically the arguments you can say. The first one is the state, and this basically will return your state, and this state basically will get back in your component, and then you have to render that. And the second thing is that action. Now if you remember, while discussing action, I told you that this will take two parameters. The first one is type, and the second one is another additional argument. So now you can see that what this is doing, based on the action or type, they're telling that do something here based on different types of action. So this is the reason I told you that the action type is basically used to differentiate between two actions. So what you have to do, you have to create your initial state, and then while creating the reducer you have to pass the state and the action, and based on the action or type you have to return your updated state, and if there is nothing in the default you have to only return the state. So now let's create our first reducer. So I'll create for this add nodes. Alright, so the first thing what we have to do, we have to take the initial state here. So here I'll take some boolean value. For example, let's take a flag of false just for example, and then you have to create the reducer. So I'll just create here add nodes reducer, and this will take two properties. So first one will be your state, and this state I will take this one as initial state, and the second one will be the action. Alright, now at the end what you have to do, basically we will take here switch, and this is the best way because you can have multiple actions, and in that way instead of using if and else it is much convenient to use switch statement. So in this key basically you have to check this action dot type, and based on different action type we have to do certain things. So now if you remember, we have already created one action type, and that is get nodes value. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here, and we have also have to import it. So what we want to do, for example, whenever this particular case will encounter, I just want to return something. So for example, I'll return here. So I'll just remove this break. I just want to return this state, and then what I want to do, I just want to make the flag as true. Alright, now you're getting what we are doing. So based on this action type we are just updating this particular action boolean to true, and in the default what we want to do, we just want to return our state, and this is a simple your reducer. Now at the end what we have to do, we just have to export this. So this will be export default add nodes reducer. That's it. Now what we have done, we have created our action, our reducer. Now what we have to do, basically we have to combine all the reducer into one root reducer, and based on that we have to create our store. Now let's do that in the next video.